Hello and welcome to We Got Issues, the only comic book podcast that demands to know what happened to the Marvel No Prize. Hi, I'm Brian Compton, aka BComp, and joining me as always is the cantankerous comic shop employee to my customer asking about what to read after The Watchmen, Josh Markwith. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad we're back discussing some comics. And so this intro has like two things that I like. One is like, one is like, yes, that's a very good question. Second one, oh my God, we had a discussion about this already. I saw. So first, let's get to the Marvel No Prize. Yeah, whatever happened to the Marvel No Prize? Who does like? They don't do that anymore, huh? Like on
No,
the soapbox.
yeah, for those who don't know, basically the no prize was a literal envelope with no prize in it from Marvel when you found a continuity error. And most editors, if you found a continuity error in the book, if you could find a way to retcon it to be like, well, actually, if maybe this, and this happened, and they'd be like, cool, you figured out our plot hole. Here's a no prize. And actually, they're worth a lot of money, but I don't believe they do them anymore. If they do, they're like for charity or something now. But yeah.
That's one end of the spectrum of actually both parts are just what I do not like about comic fans sometimes. It's the
Okay.
will actually people. Like you said, like
Actually,
actually, and then finding all the plot holes and then posting like they know everything on now it's on the internet, whatever. And then the gatekeeping comic book store owners or people who work there
shopkeepers.
or just, general fans in general. Like who like
Well, you
of
sent that
course, they know
Instagram.
everything and
Yeah, I
everybody.
was gonna say you sent that Instagram video. He sent so basically long and short of it is over the weekend, Josh sends me an Instagram video. It's satire and it's like a comic store employee. He's like, oh, let me see what you're buying here. Oh, you've
Yeah,
got, Civil War and you've got
Civil War.
Invincible and you've got, I don't remember what the third one was. He's like, you know what? He's like, yeah, I remember reading these when I started reading comics too. He's like, get out of here. Get out of here. I was just like, it's
I
sad because
sent it
it's
to you
true.
like yeah, and I just sent it to you like I hate everything about this video. Like A, the truthfulness of it. B, that they thought it was funny enough to be, satire. And then C, like those are okay books. I wasn't have a problem with those. And then D, just everything about it. I was like I was
He
seething.
nailed it though. That guy, I've seen that in an actual comic shop.
Yeah, it's just horrible. You wonder why people
Hate
make
comic
fun of
fans
comic book
or comic shop owners.
comic
Yeah.
fans, yeah, or just it's the people who think they know more, and they do know a lot, and then just how why do you gatekeep a hobby? I just don't understand that. It's just so stupid to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you have nothing else, I'm not trying to defend it because like it's
Sounds like you
BS.
are,
Like,
Brian.
well, I was
Sounds
gonna
like
say it's
you
funny because
are.
like,
Don't get
well,
me
and it's
started,
funny.
Brian.
I literally, at the shop I was at just the last week or the weekend, a guy was in there asking about like, I love the Watchmen book. I want to read more Watchmen. Like, what's this Doomsday Clock? What's this before Watchmen? And I was just like, look, your mileage will vary with this. And I told him, I was like, for me, I like some of the before Watchmen stuff, but a lot of it isn't that great, or it's not for me, rather. And I told him, it's like, just because I don't like it though, or I did or didn't like, doesn't mean you shouldn't try it and enjoy it. And that's the same thing with Doomsday Clock. Doomsday Clock starts out phenomenal, and then I feel like it just kind of lost itself by the end. And but again, your mileage will vary. You may like it. Don't listen to me. I'm just some nerd on the internet. Like, who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Find what you like.
that's completely different from the that video though. The video was like, why,
Oh, I know.
you're
Yeah, yeah. It was
stupid.
just
Yeah,
very
that's what I'm saying.
judgmental.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. No,
that's not a that was a story that made you look better, Brian. I know what you did there. That's fine. That's what we but just those type of fans are just it makes my blood boil and just
like
like they should be like, "Oh, cool, you like these. Let me show you some other stuff that you may like also."
yeah.
Or just the gatekeeping
Well,
is stupid. Like,
well, it,
you like
it's
that band? You like that band or the T-shirt you're wearing? Name like 5 of their best songs.
Oh, that I hate that. Well, we run a Nirvana shirt, name one. No, and it is funny.
Yeah.
Like there was a guy who was in the shop again. I was picking up some dollar books, and he was asking about. He's like, "Man, I really like this Batman Year One," and I was like, "Dude, you like that? Let me tell you about a little book called Criminal." And he was like, "This is amazing." I was like, "Oh yeah, wait for it." I'm like, I'm like, you see Brubaker's name on on a crime book, you just pick that up right now. And it's like I made him pick like the Catwoman one he did. I was talking about Fatale and
And
all.
Brian, this is the second time though. So, does anybody else work at these shops that you go to, or is it
I
just?
just insert myself into conversations is what I
And
find.
you should have
That or I
pushed
spend
year 2 and year 3 of Batman. I thought you were gonna say,
well,
and then if you like that, you'll definitely like a podcast that I heard that was pretty cool.
one of them I did, man. So if you, sir, I believe your name was Gregory. If you are listening, hi. Well, that all said, what are we doing this week, Josh?
We keep saying that we're taking some we ask for suggestions and stuff, and this week one of our suggestions has brought us straight to hell.
What?
uh I know, right? That's right, we're talking about the motorcycle riding, leather wearing, flaming head spirit of vengeance. Flaming head spirit of vengeance, the Ghost Rider. It sounded like I was like doing a wrestling promo.
I'm down with that. I
Motorcycle
mean,
riding, leather wearing, flaming head, spirit of vengeance, the Ghost Rider.
I don't
Uh,
watch enough wrestling to know, but it sounded good.
yeah, it was something I can't remember what wrestler, but one wrestler has like something like that.
Well, not
Oh, I
I
think
don't
it's
want to get off.
Nature Boy,
I was gonna say I don't
but
want to get off too off topic, but it's ironic that I've met more wrestlers than you have.
dude, don't even get me started. I mean, I don't know
I've met
how
so
the
many
one
wrestlers in
day,
my life.
dude, I don't know how, like, it's funny enough, like, the one day I was supposed to meet them became
Yeah.
like the worst day for both of us, but on
Oh yeah.
completely different spectrums.
Yes, that was a dark day for me, but we will that will
Me
save that
too.
for another. It
I
was
think mine
actually.
was a little bit worse, but that's fine.
Hey, I got you a custom video from one of
I know,
said
which I still
wrestlers.
have. If I ever
Good. You
see him,
better.
I'm gonna show him that video, and then
Oh,
I'm
good.
getting
Do it.
that hug.
There you
Um,
go.
did I tell you
So,
about the one time I met a wrestler at Target?
I got mistaken as a wrestler at Target, but no, I've not
Oh,
heard
nice.
about you.
No, so we were at Target and I met a wrestler or saw a wrestler there, and I thought it was being sly. I thought I went by, I just went, big fan, and walked by and stuff. And then my wife goes to me, she's like, "You were so loud." Like, and so apparently I went by him, I went, "Big fan, big fan." Like I had no, like I was too excited. I had no
No
control over my voice
internal
volume.
like volume control. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
All
another
right.
story on how I make a fool out of myself in front of famous
Another.
people.
There we go.
And
There we go.
and speaking of famous people, though, we have to talk about some famous supernatural snacks.
Ah, yes.
And
Well, as it's always, it's sponsor time, and if you're looking for the best treats this side of a demonic hellscape, you need to
oh,
check out Duff and Shaw World Famous Snacks. From green apple alien gummies to leather cream Thunderbird almonds, these snacks and candy have been curated from the most mysterious and undiscovered places on planet Earth. Head on over to duffandshaw.com/issues today and check out all they've got and more. Remember, that's duffandshaw.com/issues. It helps out the podcast. We really appreciate it, and it helps out our friends. So it's a win-win. Win, and you get candy, so win-win-win.
win, win, win,
Win-win-win-win. We all win.
win, win. And yeah, it's great snacks, and it's definitely good for around this time, like Easter time or
Mhm.
spring break, road trip time, things like that. Perfect road trip
That's true.
snacks.
That's true. That's true. So you mentioned we're doing Ghost Rider. Are we doing like a specific Ghost Rider? What book are we doing today, Josh?
Well, first,
And
the
who
reason why we're doing
requested
Ghost
it?
Rider, yeah, first the reason why we're doing Ghost Rider is we had a request from one of the many dozens of people who listen to
Dozens.
us. There's dozens of us, and now while it may appear that we're kind of doing a little bit of nepotism,
Hmm.
it's not. It's like reverse
Mm.
nepotism, if that's a thing. This The request came in from my dad, who asked us to do an episode, on Ghost Rider because that's one of his favorite superheroes. And
First off,
he,
that's cool as F. That's cool as F.
yeah, yeah,
Or cool
and
as
he's
AF, I believe is the kids say. Cool as
hey,
AF.
watch your language, watch your language, watch your letters. Um, but he's again, him, my family, they listen to every episode. So
No, that's
now we're
great. We
just
love
waiting for
them.
mom to have a request to. She'll want to request Watchmen. No, I'm kidding. Uh,
Wonder Woman.
yeah, yeah, that too. Yeah, so that goes to show that, if you just listen, your request, we'll do our best to do an episode on it, and you can
Well,
check us out.
if you're looking for like me, I'm on Instagram as Speedo Jedi, and then I'm on Blue Sky as the BComp, as well as on Twitter,
Right.
formerly known as Twitter, or whatever it's called. Although I never really responded to that one.
Yeah.
As for the show itself,
We Got Issues Cast on Instagram. We
okay.
got issues on Blue Sky, and your favorite Josh. It's your favorite Josh on Instagram for myself, for my personal one, which is just
No,
basically repost of what I put on
hey, that's great.
the
Okay.
We Got Issues Instagram. So there's nothing
Well,
really there.
the long and short of it is I'm being really serious. We usually save socials for the end of the episode, but like, if you really want to do an episode or have us focus on one, hit us up. We will do it. I promise. I promise
Yeah,
we will probably do it. I promise we will probably most likely do it. Most likely, I
yeah.
promise we will most likely do it.
If we
Anyway,
can.
if we can.
And
For today's
so
episode, Josh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. To tackle Ghost Rider, we were trying to think of like what's kind of the best way or best end
Mhm.
for Ghost Rider, because we'll discuss more of kind of his history and everything. But
Mhm.
we kind of landed on discussing the first major crossover event in Ghost Hus- Ghost Hus- Ghost Rider history, Rise of the Midnight Suns.
Actually, his first crossover
Oh
was in the
god.
first 2 issues. Okay, in all seriousness, like, his first crossover event was actually literally 2 issues before, with the
Hmm.
X-Men. They crossed over with Ghibli's X-Men, but that's why we said this is the first, like, Ghost Rider crossover, but
Hmm.
yeah, anyway, that's where the Ghost Rider and, X-Men fought the Brood for some weird reason, like, literally the
The
aliens of the Marvel
Brood.
Universe. But that all said, this Ghost Rider event is it's a wild one.
Very
Since
wild,
this
yeah.
is a request from your father, would you like to handle the blurb on the back?
You know what? Nothing would make me more happy. I'll
Please.
read this with the spirit of vengeance.
Nice.
And this blurb is from the 2016 trade, Spirit of Vengeance, and Rise of the Midnight Suns. Johnny Blaze and Dan Ketch race side by side as the spirits of vengeance, as Marvel's Midnight Suns rise to face a hellish threat like no other. Former Ghost Rider Blaze joins Ketch, his successor, and fellow sons, including Morbius, Blade, the Night Stalkers, and the Darkhold Redeemers, in a fight against Lilith, mother of demons, and her horrifying progeny. Bum, bum,
I mean,
bum.
there you go. I mean, there's a little bit more to it but I didn't care. It was like, oh, and he also fights with Spider-Man and Venom, and but it's like that had no relevance on the story. It was just collected issues they threw in there, so I
Yeah.
took that part out.
Yeah, that collection has like everything, like so many other stuff that's like that has nothing to do with this
Yeah,
the
so we're gonna stick
crossover.
to the yeah, we're gonna stick to the Ram Crossover, which was published between the months of June and September of 1992. The Rise of the Midnight Suns was essentially a springboard to launch 4 new supernatural horror books that were being bookended by the Ghost Rider book. That's a lot of book right there, which was a wildly popular series at the time. While the crossover technically took place over like 6 issues, the story did bleed over into a few other issues, but before we go too far down that rabbit hole, let's talk some Ghost Rider. Because we're going to assume, and this is probably not smart, but we're going to assume you don't know who Ghost Rider is. So, Josh, take it away.
This is all just really depending on how far back you really want to roll too, because Ghost Rider
Mhm.
is usually seen as a motorcycle riding, flaming, skull spirited of vengeance who possesses a human host so they can fight supernatural and demonic forces. Yeah, honestly, there's a little bit more to that, more to it than that, excuse me. And then there have been different iterations over the years, but like typically most when you think about Ghost Rider, most of the time you think of either Johnny Blaze or Danny Ketch. And you might see Danny Ketch the picture and think he's Johnny Blaze. So
Yeah.
it's really because they're very similar. But again, there's a whole bunch of different Ghost Riders, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like Ghost Riders have been around, like Robbie Reyes, who drives a Hellfire powered muscle car. There's the original OG Phantom Rider, who was like the Western version of the character. But like you just said, I think most fans associate the character with Blaze or Ketch.
There's also like a an even before Phantom Rider, when they
Yeah,
did those the Primal Avengers, right? Who's riding a
yeah,
mastodon?
Avengers BC or whatever it was. He wrote the
Yeah.
Mammoth. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
there was also one in that run too. I think it was Jason Aaron who did that, where it's like literally he was a Ghost Rider, but he wasn't. He was a samurai or a Ronin who like walked around. I'm like, wait a minute, that kind of defeats
Hmm.
the purpose of being a Ghost Rider if you're
Yeah.
walking from. So it's like more like a spirit of vengeance, but it's like, well, yeah, but you're a Ghost Rider.
Hmm.
You rides, you're not walk the Ghost
Yeah.
Walker. But I don't know.
Right.
I kind of always. I know this sounds weird, but that always kind of annoyed me. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, he's walking though. But anyway, I
Yeah.
digress.
But, so with all those Ghost Riders, though, do you like, are you a big Ghost Rider guy? Like, what's your history, like, with the character itself?
I mean, obviously we're doing a book on the '90s, and that seems to be my wheelhouse. I was always a Danny Ketch guy, but I wouldn't say I was like a huge Ghost Rider. I was like, yeah, Ghost Rider was cool. It's like, oh,
Uh-huh.
it's a dude in leather with a flaming skull riding a motorcycle that can go up buildings. It's like that's pretty dope. Was I like into him? No, but I always enjoyed him because he popped up a lot, and we'll get into that. But he pops up a lot in the '90s. As terms of my history with the character, it's like when he guest star, I'd pick up a few issues here and there, but like I wasn't like a fan. But what about you? Were you like into him or either one?
Yeah, I think I was more the Johnny Blaze guy, even though a
Okay.
lot of the stuff I did see was Dan Ketch because again,
Mhm.
the just when I was getting into comics, but I think Johnny Blaze I thought was always just kind of the more the Harley was
Yeah.
just I liked and yeah, like Ghost Rider to me he's one of those characters that the best way to put it for me, he's like a character actor where
Mhm.
he shows up in so many other books and stuff
Mhm.
that you don't really see him in his own book
Mhm.
a lot, and, he does really well in other books,
Mhm.
and everything too, so, I mean, it's just, he you don't see him a lot in his own Ghost Rider story or book, so that's why we kinda had a little bit of a hard time finding a good one,
Yeah, I
to
mean,
discuss.
well, I was gonna say, with the exception of like the original series from the '70s and '80s, and then this series in
Yeah.
the '90s, which the both series went about 80 to about 80 to 90 issues. He's been relegated to mostly limited series, or maybe doing a run that lasts about 20, 25 issues, which they were all fine, but there was never like a run that's like the definitive run. And
Definitive run, yeah.
I would argue that the Danny Ketch one is, but we'll get into that in a second. How did you read this series? Did you read it when it came out? Did you read it in trade, digitally? What was your history with the actual book, Rise of the Midnight Suns?
I don't know, I read it for this, like,
Okay.
I didn't really know about this crossover until we were doing our research on what to do,
Okay.
and this was the first time that I read it.
Okay. Fair enough. And I assume you
All
read it
digital
digitally?
on the Marvel
All digital.
Unlimited app.
There
Yeah,
you
I
go,
ain't
baby.
got no time for no physical books anymore.
That's great. Cool.
What
Yeah,
about you, Brian? I know probably
yeah,
you already had it somewhere in
you know,
the back
I
annals of your library.
yeah, I know, no. No, I have a few of the issues here and there, like, I think I had the Morbius issue, and I think I had that actual Ghost Rider 28, which is the first appearance of all of it. But overall, like, I didn't read it until, like, I had the trade of it, and which apparently I had the trade sitting on my bookshelf. I had no idea. I was like, "Oh, well, let me look what oh, it's right here. Oh, I apparently bought
Mhm.
this back in who knows when." Um I read some of it back in the day when it came out, but I wouldn't say I remembered any of it. It was reading it fresh from this. It was, well, like I said, we'll get into it, but let's break down Johnny Blaze versus Danny Ketch because we keep throwing those names out, and I think we should they're owed their due. Now, I would personally argue that the most well-known host, a human host, is Johnny Blaze. I think though that Danny Ketch, like you just said, is like his version of Ghost Rider is probably more iconic and probably more associated with the character. If that makes any sense. Like I think that when people see the human host, they see Johnny Blaze. When they see the Ghost Rider himself, they think Danny Ketch's Ghost Rider. But let's break out the differences and the nuances between the characters before we get into the crossover. You want to start tackling Johnny?
Yeah, and yeah, I think I agree because most of the modern like pictures on the t-shirts or something you see is
Mhm, mhm,
Catch, but then
mhm.
Johnny has 2 movies.
Movies, yeah.
Uh, So, but yeah, Johnny Blaze. Let's go way back to 1972, where that's where Johnny Blaze made his first appearance in Marvel Spotlight #5.
Yep.
And what like he had a different kind of origin though, right? Like he wasn't supposed to be a hero.
Yeah, he was originally well, the writer, Guy Friedrich, had originally pitched him out, like, he was like, "Hey, there's that Phantom Rider, why don't we do, like, a Ghost Rider character, and he's gonna be a villain for Daredevil," and, like, editorial's like, "Nah, bro, like, this is too good an idea, like, a dude riding a motorcycle with a flaming head, are you kidding? No, we're gonna fix that and make him a hero," and thus, Johnny Blaze was born. Well, he was born after they got Stanley's approval, and he insisted that they call him Johnny Blaze, so Stan Lee
It
still had to
does
put his own.
sound like a
Yeah, Stan
sounds
Lee
like a
did. Well
family name.
well, it had to be if it was a truly a Stan Lee name, it would've been like Bobby Blaze or,
No, that's very true. Let's call him. I like the name Blaze. Let's call him Johnny. I know Blaze. That's
yeah.
what you do. I made Peter Parker. You shut up.
I
Yeah,
invented Spider-Man.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then like Johnny was a motorcycle riding stuntman who sold his soul to the devil. Who Marvel Devil is Mephisto, in an
Mhm.
effort to save his adopted father from dying of cancer.
As you do.
Yeah, only for his dad to immediately die attempting to jump his motorcycle over 22 cars, as
I
you
love
do.
that. As you do. Naturally, Mephisto's like, "Hey, man, you didn't die of cancer. You still owe me your soul."
Yeah,
And, yeah, I love that. Yeah, Mephisto's like, technically, he didn't die of cancer. He died by
yeah.
car. I mean, but,
It's
um,
very devilish. Deal with the devil,
it
Mephisto.
yeah, it's true, devil the details. But of course, before Mephisto can take it, Johnny Blaze's girlfriend is able to drive Mephisto away with a book and the power of love.
Which now, do you think because of this happening?
Mhm.
That's why Mephisto wanted to end Peter Parker's love with Gwen or with whoa, I almost with
Oh,
Mary
yeah.
Jane. Like, was this like the catalyst moment that him was like, I'm gonna take out any type of love?
I am not
Mhm,
gonna give any credence to
mhm.
anything involving Brand New Day or One More
That
Day
that
or any
was
of that.
that was my
D d
Pepe
I
Sylvia moment. That
No,
was
I know, I get it. It's very clever. How's that working out for you?
I don't know, I just made it up. I just thought of it.
I know,
So I was just thinking,
no, supposedly I read somewhere it was like I don't no, we're not going down that. I'm not even gonna digress anymore. Moving on. 'Cause I do not wanna digress on that.
no
Anyway,
more digression.
because no more digression on that. We'll digress on other things, just not on Brand New
Which
Day or One New Day.
says
Yeah.
so much when you are the fan of the Clone Saga.
At least the Clone Saga was fun. You know what I mean? Like, the Clone Saga is fun. It's
Yeah.
insane, it's over the top, it's crazy, but it's fun. It's like, "Okay, this is just them throwing crap at the wall." And again, this is in the '90s when, like, we've got new Azrael, we've got, new Thunderstrike, a new Thor,
Mhm.
we got a new Ghost Rider. In fact, not only do we get a new Ghost Rider, we even got a second new Ghost Rider when Vengeance takes over, you know what I mean? Like, this is
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah.
era of, like, the reboots and, like, we got Ben Riley. It's like, yeah, anyway, no digression. So, anyway,
No digression, no
no
digression,
digression.
and then last discussion about Spider-Man on this one,
Oh, god.
read the new Venom issue that came out today.
Oh, I know, I saw the spoilers last week. I'm like, "Oh, these are gonna be good. Gonna be good." Will not spoil that here, though. So, yeah,
No, no.
so Mephisto is, like, driven away through the power of love, and what happens, Josh?
That's the power of love.
We can't afford that. We can't
N
afford that.
yeah. It's just too loud. That's a Back to the Future, joke reference. Okay.
I got it.
However, yeah, so Mephisto, he's gonna be the devil that we know, the devil on his
Mhm.
shoulder, and he bonds the demon Zarathos. Zarathos? Zarathos? Z-
Zarathos, either
Zarathos?
one,
Yeah,
I'm fine.
well, like, what's he gonna do? To Johnny to transform it into that leather wearing skeleton with a flaming head that we all know and love, and he must dole out punishment to the wicked and evil whenever Mephisto wanted, which is kind
Or
of
when nighttime comes.
yeah, which is kind of isn't Mephisto evil? So it's
Mm,
like he's kind of, I don't know. It's a little
well, I think it was the evil
counterproductive, but
or wicked to him, you know what I mean? Like, "Yeah, that guy's being
yeah,
bad, I want
gotcha.
his soul," maybe that's what it was, I'm not sure.
Gotcha. But so eventually, though, Johnny got his own solo series for about a decade,
Mm,
and
yep.
he even joined West Coast superhero team, the Champions. Which, I mean, God, my grandma was on the Champions. That was
Was
until kind of sales started to like slide, and its book was canceled in 1983, but not before Johnny was able to excise the demon of Zarathos and go on about his life, or so
Yeah,
you
he
thought.
would kind of yeah, or so well, he would pop up again in other people's books as Johnny Blaze, motorcycling adventurer, but he would
Yeah.
pretty much kind of drop from public view until the arrival of Danny Ketch. I was funny, I actually had to dig it out, but he shows up in the Defenders, like rocking like this great hair and righteous beard. He looks like a
Ooh.
member, like a of GI Joe, like on shore leave. It's really kind of fun. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But other
Isn't
than
there a
that,
G.I. Joe name Shore Leave?
I I know Shipwreck, I'm sure there's gotta be one, there's a G.I. Joe name for everybody. But yeah, that's pretty much kind of the
Oh,
end
there
of
is. Oh, no, Shipwreck.
what's it
I'm sorry. You're right. It's
yeah.
just,
Yeah, it sounds really close
no,
to it, yeah.
Venture Brothers. That's what it was.
Ah, yes. But yeah, that's kind of the end of Johnny Blaze for about not a decade, but like a little more than half a decade. So that brings us to Danny Ketch.
And getting to Danny Ketch in the late 80s, Marvel editorial decided that it was time to revive the motorcycle ride in flames skeleton dude again,
Yep.
because it's late 80s. That's kind of like around that time that it
Yeah,
makes
it's
sense.
yeah, it's like we're
Um,
starting to get dark, you know?
right.
Yeah,
And
go ahead.
who's running it though? Like, it was
So
somebody kind of new to the scene at the time.
yeah, so basically there was like an up and coming writer named Howard Mackey. He was hired out as assistant editor back in the day, but he'd been kind of like a protege to the late great Mark Grunewald, and basically a lot of people pitched out, but he pitched out the idea of the story of Danny Ketch because like editorials like we don't want to do Johnny Blaze, you got to create a whole new character. And editorial was like, this is great. This is totally fine. Let's do it. And let's get the series going. Problem is, marketing and advertising was like, no, we're not doing this. Are you kidding? The uh, Johnny Blaze was a bust. The book got canceled. We're not doing this series. And literally for like months, it was like this back and forth between editorial and marketing and sales. Because like even like marketing sales, like the team that they had put Marvel or the editorial put together was like Howard Mackey, Javier Soteras, and Mark Texeria. Like no one knows who these cats are. They couldn't even like sell it. Like, oh, Frank Miller is doing Ghost Rider, or Chris Claremont's. It's like no one knows who these guys are. Like we can't even sell it on the pedigree. And so they're like, not going to do it. Not going to do it. And anyway, after much back and forth, editorial's like, screw it. We're doing it, and we don't care. We're just going to do it. And history was made.
History was made with Danny, and what the story that they had for Dan or Danny or D Man, DK,
Daniel.
Daniel, Daniel's son, was he's a young kid who, along with his sister, stumbled onto a drug deal in a cemetery, of course, which
Yes.
kind of goes predictably sideways, ending up with
Yep.
his sister getting shot and getting into a coma, and he ends up finding like a random motorcycle, as you do, in the
Mhm.
graveyard with a strange medallion,
Of
as you
course.
do. And of course, he touches it because everybody would. And that transforms him into the spirit of vengeance, which is
Cool.
different. Yeah, which is different though. Like, there's no, it has nothing to do with Zarathos, right? Like, it has nothing to do with the actual demon type thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they eventually, long term, they kind of retcon it, like, oh, his great great grandfather Noble was like, there's a lot of retcon, but yeah, at the time, there wasn't like, oh, you're being possessed by this demon because you sold your soul to the devil and a Zarathos and all that. It was just like, nope, here's
Mhm.
this motorcycle. And actually, that was the big difference. Like Mackie, that I think kind of helped was like, Zarathos was put on Johnny Blaze and had to become Ghost Rider at night or whenever Mephisto showed up. This was like um Danny, I mean, his thing was either innocent blood was spilled and then Ghost Rider's like, cool, I gotta go rock some skulls, or he would touch the medallion on the ghost on the motorcycle and turn into Ghost Rider. So there's a little bit more of an internal struggle with him, like deciding whether or not he wanted to do it. But anyway, talk about his powers for a
Hmm.
second.
Yeah, because his powers were he could project hellfire, like Johnny Blaze, and he had the super strength and durability. He also had,
Mhm.
of course, the awesome motorcycle that could, scale walls and pretty much go wherever he wanted.
Literally.
He had an ability
Yep.
called the penance stare, which like basically make someone feel the pain of their sins on the innocent inflicted upon themselves. If they have like some shred of guilt or something like that, because I
Mhm.
remember there's like a catch to it where he tried to do it to like Thanos and it didn't work, or Johnny Blaze,
Yeah,
because he like, eventually like
he
got
does it to the
adopted
Punisher.
into Johnny Blaze too. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the Punisher too.
Yeah, the Punisher's like, "That's cool. I don't feel bad about that."
Yeah, yeah. So I get, yeah, that's like the little
Twist.
catch to it, yeah, the twist
Yeah,
to it, where you have to have some things. Yeah, because I remember, yeah, again, like he tried to do it to Thanos and then it didn't work.
doesn't work. I will
Yeah.
say though, like, if nothing else, the design of the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider is freaking sick. I mean, it's literally he's like it is like literally metal, you know what I mean? Like he's got all the
Mhm.
spikes and the metal studs and chains. But honestly, on top of all that, and he looks ripped too. Like he looks for a skeleton, he's jacked. Um, but like honestly, it's true though, and that's one of the things they talked about is they wanted to make him look muscular as opposed to the Johnny Blaze
Yeah.
version. Honestly, what really makes him stand out on top of all of that, just like, like he looks like he should be on the side of a van, like a rock and roll, like a death metal van, you know what I mean? Like you'd see from the 80s. It was his motorcycle. I mean, the damn thing was like the flaming wheels and had that like skull like shield on the front end. It looked like a demonic version of one of the motorcycles from Akira. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
it really stood out. And it's funny you'd mentioned the Harley Davidson things. That was one of the things Howard Mackey, the writer, he fought with the artist on. He's like, no, Ghost Rider is a Harley guy. He needs to be riding a Harley. And the artist is like, yo, if he's in the city cutting around like, New Jersey, he needs to cut around car. You can't do that in a Harley. It's got to be like this kind of a bike. And at the time, like, you know,
I like how that's a stopping point with a guy who has a flaming skull and demonic
totally,
possession. Like,
you,
no,
you know,
the turning of the Harley is just completely unrelatable. It has to be something like this. Like that's the point. Like,
yeah. Well,
comics.
Mackie, it was say Mackie wasn't happy with it, but when he saw the final design, he's like, all right, that's kind of cool. All right, you win this round, sir.
Yeah.
As you mentioned though, that I like they said that's why I think the look is so iconic, and that's why I think when people think Ghost Rider, they think that one. On top of
Mhm.
that, like I said, there's whenever I think the Ghost Rider that possessed him is pretty one dimensional. He's like, must protect the innocent. So it's always like innocent blood has been spilled. I must have vengeance. Like it's almost every because I read all the issues kind of like leading up to it, and that's all he says, like, innocent blood is spilled. I must have vengeance. Whereas like the Danny part of the story I think was really compelling because it was almost like this like sad version of Peter Parker's like, "Oh, I gotta do this thing, you know? Oh, my sister's in a coma. No." You know what I mean? Like, it's kinda that, but that was me.
Y-
What about you,
Yeah.
man?
Well, so I get that, but in the first issue of this
Mhm,
whole series, this crossover,
mhm.
and maybe because of what the reason why we'll discuss later, but that's all he was about too. The vengeance. That's all he said.
Venge Yeah,
So vengeance, vengeance. So I mean,
vengeance.
maybe I guess he just yeah. We'll discuss why. But I kind of understand now why. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's trying to allude but not
yeah.
spoil our discussion. But
Well
um,
well, the other thing I was gonna say real quick is Howard Mackey specifically said he's based on himself. Like Danny Ketch is based on him. He's like, I was told write what I
mm,
know. Well, I know myself, and so it's very much like that's me at that age. It was like a young version of himself. So it is interesting.
yeah, thinks high
Um,
of himself. All right. So
yeah, he
he was
does. I
that
don't.
he saw a drug deal in a graveyard and
Well, it's funny you said that because
stole a motorcycle.
well, that cemetery is where he grew up. That cemetery, I think it's like Cypress Hills or whatever.
Oh
Like
wow.
that's where he
Okay.
grew up, and the sister in the book is based on his three sisters actually as well. So yeah, I mean
Oh
it's
wow. Okay.
yeah,
Hey, you write what you know, I guess.
you write what you know.
Um.
Well,
So
so
is
yeah,
that like your Ghost Rider? You're saying like Danny is
yeah,
kind of your Ghost Rider?
I would say so. I mean, the same way like Kyle Rayner is. Like, I love those '90s versions of the characters. Not all, but
Yeah.
like, it's like, oh, I was reading an article. It's like, man, Azrael was my Batman, and so was mine, and Thunderstrike was
Who's
my Thor. And
Batman? Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, that's a choice. I mean, like, I don't know if it's the right one, but that's your
Hey,
choice.
it's
I,
to each his
I
own.
Yeah, to each their own. I would say though Danny's mine. I like Johnny, don't get me wrong, but like even in this book, Johnny never turns into Ghost Rider. He's just Johnny
No.
Blaze, you know?
Yeah.
So, and what about you,
And
man?
he's still more Ghost Rider-ish at the time. I like Johnny Blaze.
To-
I think
Totally.
he's more. I think, and he's had more staying power.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think because now in modern Ghost Rider stories, it's more about Johnny Blaze than it is Dan. I think.
That's just because he
And
has
correct me if I'm
precedent.
wrong.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right.
yeah.
He has precedent, and that goes a long way. It's the same way of like, well, I'm not gonna get into Hal versus Kyle, but let's get in
Yeah.
the context and background of this
Yeah.
character.
Well, yeah. So then we caught up with all the history of like Ghost Rider himself, or the two Ghost Riders that we're discussing in this book, because, like we said, there's a bunch of other Ghost Riders, and
Yeah.
um, now Brian, you again, you are the historian of of all this and stuff, but like, how huge was this Ghost Rider book? Like, how
Th-
huge was Ghost Rider at this time?
Dude, so okay, as I said before, like, well, let's start at the beginning. So, it's important to note how big this book is because we've mentioned before this is the early '90s, late '80s, early '90s. Comics are hot. I mean, the speculator boom is like going crazy at this point, and that's thanks to things like special covers and hotshot artists and number ones and company wide events. I wonder like why that doesn't sound familiar right now. And we're heading for another crash. Anyway, not to
Right.
spoil anything, because in 3 or 4 years, it is all going to crash. But at this point, Ghost Rider is hot. It was so hot that marketing and advertising, who like fought with editorial, actually went to them and said, "Hey, we're sorry for fighting with you. Like, you guys are making us money. Like, sorry about that. We'll back off." And Ghost Rider starts popping up in everybody's books. He's in Punisher, he's in Thor, Spider-Man, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, Quasar, the X-Men. He was even a temporary unofficial member of the Fantastic Four in his first year of publication. Remember the
Yeah.
new Fantastic Four, was it Hulk?
It was
No,
Hulk,
not Punisher.
Wolverine. It was Hulk,
Wolverine,
Wolverine, Spider-Man,
Wolverine,
and Ghost
Ghost
Rider.
Rider.
I
Yeah,
think
and that
even
was in
like
his
they fought like the Sinister Six and stuff. Like
yeah,
Hulk
it
got
was the
his arm
Simon's
broken.
yeah, it's the Simonson run, but it was like as a gag, but like literally he's in his first year of publication, he's like a temporary member of the Fantastic Four. Um, by this point as well, Johnny Blaze is becoming a regular feature in the book. Initially he had assumed that his buddy Serathos had taken over Danny, but then they find common ground, and now, Johnny is rocking a Hellfire firing shotgun after the Ghost Rider doused it with Hellfire. It's whatever. I don't have the numbers for the first year, but in the second year, it was selling on average 250,000 issues a month. You compare that to the mainline Avengers book at the time, which was selling 175,000 copies. I mean, think about that. Like, this new Ghost Rider book in its second year of
Yeah.
publication is outselling the Avengers by almost 100,000 issues. And that's in 1992 or 1991 right there.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
By
crazy.
its third Yeah, it's crazy. And by its third year, 92, sales were even higher, averaging about 350K a month. And Marvel's like, we need more Ghost Rider. Like I said, he'd already been added to their anthology book, Marvel Comic Presents. And if you want a brief history on that, go listen to our Weapon X episode. Um,
Yeah,
plus,
go listen
Johnny
right now.
Blazes a yeah, go listen right now. Go pause this, listen, then come. Anyway. Plus, Johnny Blaze's original issues are being reprinted as the original Ghost Rider with cool new modern covers. But on top of all those guest spots and reprints, Marvel's still like, we need more. And what better way than to create a whole new team of anti-heroes and supernatural characters, aka the Midnight Suns. So Marvel decides they're going to launch 4 all new books, and they're all going to be polybagged, of course, because it's the '90s, with a
Of
mini
course.
poster, of course. Not only were Ghost Rider and Johnny Blaze going to get their own spin-off team-up book called Ghost Rider Johnny Blaze Spirits of Vengeance, Morbius, the living vampire, was going to get one, as well as Night Stalkers, which is Blade, Hannibal King, and Frank Drake. They're going to get their own books as well. Which, by the way, did you watch the Morbius movie?
Yeah, I saw it in
Is it
theaters
Morbin
4
time?
times. I'm kidding.
Oh,
It's
oh,
no,
okay.
I saw it one time in on like I don't know, it was like on who does Paramount stuff? Showtime.
Oh, okay,
Uh
okay, fair.
yeah, it sounded like on Showtime when it was on there. Yeah, of course it's Morbid time. It's always Morbid time,
Well, we'll discuss
especially
more
for
Morbin
me.
time in a yeah, I'm sure. And then obviously the Night Stalkers show up in Blade 3, which I actually have never seen. How was that one?
Blade 3? Um
Yeah.
yeah, have you heard how bad it was? Then yeah, it's
Oh, I
pretty
have.
much
That's
that.
why I didn't
It
see it.
was not.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
Yeah,
why I
it's
didn't
not
watch it.
great. It's not great. I did not. It was not for me. I did not like it.
Okay,
Even
fair
though it
enough.
had Triple H, Hunter
Triple
Hearst
H.
Helmsley in there when he had like metal fangs too. But
That's awesome.
it was. I mean, if you think about it, without Blade 3, we wouldn't get Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
It's true.
So you
Yeah,
got to get the
and
bad before you get the good.
true, fair enough. You had Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool before Deadpool and Green Lantern
Yeah.
and Hannibal King. Um, and
And
also
the
to round
stories
up
behind that movie, though, too. The
are
stories behind that
great.
movie from Patton Oswalt talking about how
And
Wesley Snipes was.
yeah,
Ooh.
it's great. It's really fun.
And it was
Um,
directed by a comic writer. What's his name?
David Goyer, he wrote it.
David
David
Goyer.
S. Goyer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who wrote
yeah, he
it?
also wrote it.
Who
Yeah, which because 'cause he'd written some of the other
Yeah.
ones. Well, he wrote the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, just,
Yeah,
but
he
then
did.
again, when
Yeah,
you're
that's
coming
true.
from Guillermo del Toro, who did number
Right.
2, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway,
Ooh. And just to round out all the titles that are starting, they're gonna have a team focusing on the Darkhold, and that's kind of like Marvel's version of Necromonicon,
the
Monomon.
Necronomicon,
Yes,
the
and that was like the Darkhold was like a major plot point for the WandaVision and
Mhm,
for Doctor
Agatha.
Strange. Well, no more Doctor Strange. The
Yeah, yeah.
Multiverse Madness. That
Mhm,
was it was the big thing for those two, and it probably will have something to do in Vision Quest. But that's
I'm
yeah, it's
sure.
like the big bad book of oh, and actually they even had it was a huge plot point for like a full season of Agents of Shield.
Oh,
So
nice.
it
Is that
yeah,
canon,
so
though, in the MCU?
yes and no. I was kind of weird because Agents of Shield is canon, but I don't know if that's the same Darkhold because they didn't really mention. It's very weird.
Well Ghost Rider shows up in, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., doesn't
Yeah,
he?
he does. Yeah, the Robbie Reyes one.
Well, doesn't even the
Yeah,
original Ghost Rider or, like, doesn't, like, Danny show up before Robbie shows up, or
it's I
there's, like,
think
a
it's
brief cameo?
Johnny. Yeah,
Oh, maybe
Johnny
Johnny?
shows up. Yeah,
Oh, I don't
I
know.
think one of those, Danny or Johnny, one of those.
Doesn't
I think
matter.
is yeah, but
Well,
like Marvel, they were like really gung ho. Like, weren't they even reprinting some stuff?
they even well, so on top of the, original Ghost Rider reprints, they were also reprinting the, Adventures of Morbius called Morbius Revisited. So, like, I mean, at this point, they're like,
Huh.
"This is gonna be a slam dunk." I mean, as we mentioned, though, it's 1993, and if you have not been paying attention to our last few episodes focusing on the 90s, stuff's about to go sideways. It about to go sideways in a
Yeah,
big
that
way,
bubble's bursting.
big time. So let's get into this.
Yeah, so let's just break down the basic plot of these issues and like were they good or were they bad? Is this like a good jumping off point? Like if not, who's this book really for? And
Uh,
so like
yeah.
what do we need to know going into this?
Well, here's the sort of previously on Ghost Rider.
Previously
Excuse
on Ghost Rider.
me. It basically on the sort of the in the trade of the book, it basically explains who Danny and Johnny and the Ghost Rider are, as we just did, but probably in a little bit more of a succinct way as opposed to our 10-minute diatribe, as well as sort of a lead into the book, specifically that like Danny Ketch is between life and death after having his throat slit by his nemesis Blackout. But instead of dying, the spilled blood of the innocents, i.e., Danny's blood when he got his throat slit, results in Ghost Rider being summoned. Because remember when innocent blood is spilled, Ghost Rider. So literally, like as Danny's dying, blood, Ghost Rider just like pops out of his body or turns into Ghost Rider. So at this point, Ghost Rider's like in a Danny's like in between like life and death. Ghost Rider's
Purgatory.
like Yeah, well, he's just like, "I don't know if I'm gonna go to heaven or if I'm gonna
Oh,
die."
yeah.
Yeah, and at this point, Johnny Blaze is, like, tagging along with Ghost Rider after teaming up with the X-Men, who had stopped the Brood, as I'd mentioned earlier, 2 issues, previously. Now, we typically kind of, break down each issue, but we're just gonna kinda summarize each issue, although we will have one issue we're gonna wanna go hard in depth on because it's
It's pretty
interesting.
crazy. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Do you wanna talk about part 1?
Yes, the part 1, which is actually Ghost Rider number 28, and this one is written by Howard Mackie, as we said, but then the art is actually done by Andy Kubert, which I thought the art was
What?
really fun. Yeah.
It's
I know, it's
insane,
great.
man.
The Kubert brothers, like, show up not
Ye
randomly,
In
but,
the
like, for
'90s, they showed up a
me
lot. Yeah.
yeah, but, like, for me, just, like, because my first, like, into the Kubert brothers was, like, the Ultimate,
Okay.
stuff, like Ultimate X-Men and stuff. That's when I
Uh-huh.
really, like, understood, but so when I, like, reread stuff like Executioner Song or even, like, this
Mhm.
stuff and I see, like, their name, I'm like, "Oh, wow," and then I see the similarities in the
Yeah.
early stuff, like, compared to now. It's like, "Oh, yeah, that's pretty awesome."
Yeah, for
And
me, it's funny because Andy Kubert did a lot of the X-Men stuff that post Jim Lee after Jim Lee left,
mhm.
but Adam did a lot. I mean, he did a run on Wolverine after the Fatal Attractions run, and that is one
Yeah.
of my favorite runs. It's good. I mean, he is firing on all cylinders, Adam is, but, anyway, continue, I'm sorry.
No, 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 that's fine. I mean, like, they should be discussed and mentioned, and, uh, so, like, again, this issue really picks up full throttle following the events of the last 3 issues, and the really just kind of I guess, like, the long and short of it is, like, this issue is that, like, Johnny and Ghost Rider are trying to avoid the cops while, both, like, Spirit Danny and Ghost Rider have, like, a vision of Lilith.
Mhm.
And Lilith is like the mother of demons, so it's like the first demon that the devil made or something like that. And
Yeah.
she's coming, and she's getting her kids, but she has to be stopped because I guess she's just Lilith, and like what she pops out of like this
Well,
weird like
that comes in the
monster in
next
the middle of
issues.
the
No, because
oh,
that's
that's
in
in
the
the
next
next
issue.
issue. That's right. I'm
Yeah,
getting
this
them
one,
mixed up. Sorry.
literally all it is a vision. Like it's a
Oh,
huge
right,
splash
right.
page, and it shows like the Night Stalkers and the Darkhold Redeemers and Morbius and all that. And he's like, Lil's like, I'm coming and I'm gonna get my Edge Lord kids. And it's like, okay, well, that's cool. Like, what are you just hanging out? Like, it doesn't and like
Yeah.
goes, we gotta stop her. It's like, well, why? Well, she doesn't say like
Right.
I'm coming to take over the earth or I'm coming over to kill everybody. She's like, I'm just coming. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like, so again, like we said, like that's the issue though. So like that's Johnny gets a motorcycle.
Mhm.
And like what were your thoughts on this? Like, is this like a good kickoff to a supposed, crossover like this?
In a word, no,
Yeah, I
no.
know this one was tough. Only tough because you have to put it in the lens of a start of a crossover.
Yeah, I mean,
And
yeah,
It's not a start of a crossover. It's more of to me, this is like a prologue that would
yeah.
happen before the crossover.
It should have been like the epilogue to an issue, like at the end of the issue, like
Yeah,
epilogue, all of a sudden he has like this vision of like, oh my God, someone's coming. And like, Doctor Strange shows up. I've got to get the team together. You know what I mean? Like it
yeah,
should have been so it was just very like, okay, like as an issue, like as like, oh, them running around, kicking ass, driving around, fighting cops and like killing people in a city, all that's like that was all fine. The art's great. Howard Mackey's writing's fine. It's like all that's fine. But as a crossover, like I was just like, okay, we get that big splash
yeah,
page, and like that was and like no motivation, no reason. She's like, oh shit, she's coming. Okay, cool. Who is she? What does she want? Oh, I have no idea. You know what I mean? Like if that makes any sense. I was just kind of like, all right, that's cool, I guess. Sure.
yeah. Again, this was more of a Ghost Rider issue than a crossover start issue,
Yeah.
and I think some of the events that happened the next one should have
Mhm.
happened in this one.
Yeah, like I said, it could have been like an epilogue. 'Cause they do that a lot of times. Like when you're going to kick off an event, you finish up the
Yeah,
story and like, here's an addendum. Here's addendum one of the story. Like here's this thing that's happening. Be sure to turn into part one of
right,
the next issue or whatever. It was just like, no, this is the part one of it all. It's like,
right.
that's just me. That's just me. And it sounds like you're on the same page on that too.
Yeah, which I mean, we'll discuss more, but I think that that's one of it's the main issue I have because we got issues is
We
the
got issues.
disjointedness of it.
It's the name of the show.
No, yeah, the disjointedness of this whole crossover. But
Yeah.
let's so to just get more into let's talk about part two. Now, part two though is Ghost Rider slash Blaze Spirits of Vengeance #1.
The first of the number one kickoffs.
Right. And this is also Howard Mackie and Adam Kubert, right? Or is it
Adam, baby. Yeah, that was
Adam?
Adam.
Yeah.
Adam. Yep.
You see, I was gonna mix it up because they're brothers obviously, but also their art styles are pretty similar. So
They're
it's
pretty
hard
similar.
to
Yeah.
it's like their pop.
Yeah, I mean, I can generally speaking, I can usually pick them out from each other, but,
Well, good for you.
well,
No,
you
okay.
didn't even know no.
Mm,
Yeah, basically the story sort of continues with, the cops are still pursuing the duo. Ghost Rider's like, "Yo, Johnny, I had this vision about Lilith." And that's when we get her escape from her prison, which is a desiccated leviathan in, like, Iceland. And, I
mm.
mean, which kinda cool, to be honest. It's kinda metal, you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
It
"Oh,
is pretty
cool."
metal.
I was like, "Oh, she's, like, locked up in this giant leviathan," and she busts out. Yeah, she manages to escape, and she gathers some of her kids because if Lilith has got kids everywhere, and she's like, "Cool, we're gonna go attack Johnny's family for some reason," and Doc Strange is there to watch it all go down.
Yeah. So that was another weird thing about this whole thing because Doctor Strange had like a presence throughout it,
Yeah,
but he's not like
active.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah, they if I recall, and maybe you can correct me on this, but I believe his rationale was like, "My magic would cancel her magic out, would cause more problems." It's like,
Yeah.
"What?" I was like, "What? Wait, what?
It's
Okay."
it's like it's very close to there's no such thing as chaos magic. Shut up.
Yeah.
Uh
It came off like he was Nick Fury, like in the Avengers movies, he's like getting the team together. "I'm Nick Fury, and I wanna
yeah.
join us for this midnight,
Yeah.
sons."
Sun before the sun.
Yeah.
SON instead of SUN.
Yeah, it was just like I'm like, "What?" It's like, "Come on, dude, you're like the sorcerer supreme, protector of, our existence, like, can't fight him, but I can get this dude who rides a motorcycle too."
Right.
I'm like, "Okay, doc, you got it, man." Um, One of the children, though, I thought was pretty ridiculously stupid because, like, she has, like, all of these children all over the globe that are all, like, various demons, and they have different abilities and all that, and one of them is, like, this priest warrior who literally can
Yeah.
just shoot off parts of his body. Like, his
And
hand flies off.
right, and he's like super strong or something too. Like he's like a legitimate threat. Like he's
Yeah.
the crazy version of what's that character that Nathan Fillion played in the Suicide Squad movie, like the TDK,
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know, the guy rips off his arms. Like it's
yeah.
basically that.
Well, I love too, she's like, "You must join me." He's like, "I'm not going with you." And she's like, "Yeah, you are." He's like, "Okay, I'm coming with you."
I'm okay. I'm
Like,
going. And
it was literally that though. It was like
yeah,
it's like, "I'm not going with you. You're my son." "Okay, I'm going with you."
yeah. And then
"Sure."
he has a mask, but his hair's poking out too.
Yeah.
It's
He looked like an Azrael ripoff. Like when Azrael's in that, and I don't mean like the Azrael, like
yeah,
Azrael, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
the order of
The
like
cult.
Saint Dumas,
Yeah,
the cult that Azrael is in. If you've ever read like an Azrael comic, he's in this like weird like old Templar, Last Crusades armor. He looked exactly like that, except he can
yeah.
shoot his hand and his legs and his head off apparently. But yeah,
And they're with Blackouts, who actually Blackout was like the bad guy of
grandson.
this.
Yeah, he was his nemesis. He was Grossar's nemesis.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, like he was the bad guy in the second Ghost Rider
Oh,
movie.
was that Black Heart or Blackout?
Oh, no, but I thought Blackheart was in the first one, then Blackout
Oh,
was the second one.
no, I haven't seen either one, so I don't know.
That's all good. You're not missing much.
That's kind of what I've heard. Yeah, we're
There's
starting to
one
enter
guy who's like he could teleport, but he like rips through time and stuff.
yeah, there was I mean, it was like whatever we need a villain to do in this one, we're
Yeah.
gonna do. Like, there's literally a guy called Meat Market who, like, writes, like, their body parts on I don't know, it's
Right.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets pretty wonky, dude. It gets really wonky. I
Yeah.
will say though that at this point, like it feels like we're heading into like Punisher Spider-Man territory with the amount of spin-offs Ghost Rider has at this point. Like I said, there's the like I said, he's in Marvel Comics Present. He's got his own book. He's got the OG reprints. He's popping up everywhere in guest star, and now he's got a second book, Ghost Rider and Blaze. Like I get it, he's hot, and you got to capitalize on that, but like, does he really warrant that many books?
I don't know if that many books, but I did like that they were doing Ghost Rider Blaze because that kind of gives the I don't know
Well,
to me like the training day or the good cop bad cop type of
yeah.
vibe.
Well, spoiler for anybody who really wants to read that series, eventually the series is canceled, they just rename it Blaze, and Blaze gets his own
Mhm.
book for a little bit, so there you go.
He got Hal Jordan. You know, like how
Yeah,
Kyle Rayner has the fridge the girlfriend. He got Hal Jordan.
there you go. Which speaking of which, did you read the most recent Green Lantern issue? It was like issue, like, 600 or whatever it was? They
Mm-mm.
brought my boy back, Kyle. Kyle's in charge right now of Earth, he's taking
Mm.
care of Earth.
Yay.
Yeah, actually, it was actually a really fun issue. I was like, "Oh, this is fun. This is what I like
Hmm.
about comics." Let's head into part 3, Morbius.
This is the one we were going to kind of deep dive in because this one is kind of like all over the place, a little bit weird. Just
What
like any other Morbius thing.
Well, it's funny. I think I had texted you like, "Hey, man, I think we're gonna just do deep dive one issue," and you're like, "Let me guess which one." I'm all, "This one." I'm like, "No." He's like, "Then it's gonna be that one." I'm like, "Yep."
Yeah, yeah.
You're all, he was like,
His
"That it's fun. It's fun."
it is what it is on this one. So like, this was the Morbius Living Vampire #1, written by Len Kaminsky, and then the
Mhm.
art is by Ron Wagner. And
Yep.
this one is just kind of just badass and insane. And it's like not really to the level of like Batman Year Two, but you know, it's
Batman
still
Year
fun, but it's
Batman
still
Year 2
kind of
takes the cake of insanity.
yeah,
This is like B level to that. You know what I mean?
right. Which it's a hard bar to get up to, but
Yeah.
so to really understand just whole the hubbub about Morbius, like
Mhm.
who is Morbius, and if you missed the Jared Leto movie, or even like he had like a big arc in that Spider-Man,
Yeah, the '90s
uh,
Spider-Man.
the '90s Spider-Man cartoon, uh, and so if you missed both of those, which and if you call yourself a real comic book fan, I'm just
Oh,
kidding,
you a gatekeeper now? Okay.
yeah, I know I'm gatekeeping now for Morbius. Um, he makes his first appearance in 1971 in Amazing Spider-Man 101. And Michael Morbius, he is a biochemist who has contracted a rare blood disease, and he's tried to cure himself using what do you think he's using? Um,
Mm, magic.
Science.
Oh,
He
science.
tried to cure him with science. But
Science.
just like any other comic book, or really any sci-fi, anything really you talk about, uh he turned himself into a living vampire because he tried to like splice himself with bats, something like that. And he's not like a real undead vampire, but he's just kind of like a, what's the best way? It's like a vampire Batman.
Well it's gonna say so like an undead vampire is like Dracula where they are dead
Yeah,
and they just drink blood or whatever. He is like, oh, he's still alive, he's still human. It's just he has the vampire need to drink blood. So it's I don't
yeah.
know what the difference is, but one is alive and one is not. Or one
And
is undead
like,
and one is not.
yeah, like he drinks blood. He has fangs, he drinks blood, and he kind of looks
Yeah.
like a bat. Initially, he was a Spider-Man adversary. He would pop up here and there, like horror books over the years before, really Marvel dusted him off to headline his own book for this crossover. And
Mhm.
now, like, we'll try to discuss it, but like, what happens in this issue? Like, what happens to, like very first, Brian? Like, it
The
opens
f
up
literally
weird.
it opens with Morbius just, like, killing an innocent woman, like, not even like, "Oh, she's a criminal," or no, that's an innocent woman and he killed that to me, that's the best way to start on your protagonist, the person you're having your audience identify with have him kill an innocent woman. Sure,
Right.
but he
And
does
a
feel bad
crossover with
about
somebody with a crossover about someone who like fights people who spill innocent blood with a
it.
Ghost
Yeah.
Rider.
Well, also, like, this is his first issue out the gate. You have to assume most people don't haven't read this. Like, this is like the '90s. Like, oh, you're introducing this character to an audience. Let's have him kill someone innocent. Sure, an innocent woman at that. You talk
Mm.
about Frigid and the girlfriend. It's like, well, right off the bat, which that
Yeah.
happens in. Okay, ooh, okay, hold on. All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves. After that, though, we got Lilith, and she's hitting the club. When I say club, it's a speed
Clue.
metal club, but it's still. She hits the club, and she just is it just me? Or she just happens to run into some of her kids there at the club, right? Like, oh hey, you're two of my
Yeah.
kids, right?
She's like, "Oh, hey, fancy meeting you here."
Yeah,
So
it came
yeah.
off as like, or was I wrong? Or is it just like, hey, I know
Oh
you
yeah,
guys,
it
you're
was
my
like,
kids.
I'm back. Hey." And then like one had some weird eyes or something like that I could see.
Yeah.
But so like and with that though, Johnny and Ghost Rider are following up on Lilith stuff and they got a name and a hotel room number.
Yes.
In naturally, of course, the number is 616, which
Naturally.
naturally, like you would think though too, like even more clever to be 666, but that's the missed
That was really
opportunity probably.
that is a missed opportunity, actually. Maybe it
Yeah.
was originally that. They're like, that's too on the nose.
Yes, two on the nose. Yeah.
We'll
On
change
all
this
these
6 1.
books, that's again like in a book like this, that is two on the nose. With a guy named Meat Market, that's
Yeah,
two on the nose.
on the nose.
Um, and so they show up to the woman's like door, and they're looking like extras, from Mad Max, and they start asking about innocent blood, and she's like, hey, you know what? Cool, come on in. And this is Ghost Rider, full Ghost Rider. It's not
Oh, no, no.
Nanny. Oh
He's
yeah, he has
wearing
a
that
helmet on.
he has a motorcycle helmet. He's like, so imagine you're this woman who you hear a knock at the door and you've got dudes in like leather chains wearing a bike helmet because he can't take it off because he's got a flaming skull
Mhm.
underneath it. And another dude who's like hogging, like you got this giant hellfire shooting shotgun and like, hey, we want to talk to you about innocent blood. And she's like, come on in. Like, this is
Sure.
New York City. Crime is down. What?
Yeah. We're in the Giuliani era. Come on
That's true.
in.
We were actually. Um, yeah, I love that. It's like, and then of course, I love that she takes it off when he does take the helmet off eventually, and there's like just flaming skull. She's like, "Cool, I'm gonna have a drink. You want one?" like,
Yeah.
like it's
Like
just like,
nothing.
wait, like nothing. I'm like, what? Okay, cool.
It reminds me of like the Ninja Turtle movies where like it was like Raphael like flips over a taxi cab and the guy goes like, "What was that?" He's like, "It's a turtle in a trench coat. You going to LaGuardia?" And then we're like,
Just like
the two animals
without missing a beat.
are yeah, the two animals are destroying the street. Tell them to get their own cab. It's like those kind of like, oh, this is New York, so crazy stuff happens. Come on in.
I mean, theoretically, you're right. I mean, we have like a dude who wore like a polyester suit and called himself God, aka the Beyonder, and is just walking around through,
Mhm.
at this point, you're probably just like, yeah, sure, this is New
It's
York of the
post
616.
Galactus.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, sure. I mean, she's probably seen it all. She's like, yeah, just have a drink. Come on, let's go.
Yeah,
So she reveals that she is Morbius's girlfriend and she's found a doctor that can cure him. But if he can't cure him, she's just gonna kill him because
of course.
that's what you do. That's what you do. It's like my boyfriend can't be cured, so I'll kill him myself. I've got a gun. Of course,
Mhm.
this doctor has other plans to kill Morbius, and if that wasn't enough, Lilith wants her kids to also kill Morbius as well. So plot points are going to converge, I would assume.
Yeah, and yeah, everybody's just trying to kill Morbius. Ghost Rider and Johnny kind of capture him and takes him to the lab to get cured, but the cure, which is actually a poison, gets infected by one of Lilith's children, right? And
Yes,
like, of course, like the doctor's like, colors changed on the serum, probably not worth worrying about, which
I love
they
that.
should.
Yeah, because Yeah, it's like this, like, 'cause, like, what is it? One of her children's like a grease spot. He, like, slides under the door. He's like, "Let me just squeeze some of my juice into this serum that's gonna."
Yeah.
He doesn't know that the doctor literally it's a serum of poison that's gonna kill him, and then the guy's like, "Let me infect it with my blood." And what does that have? It's like, and the doctor notices like, "Huh, that's weird. The serum turned from green to black. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter. It's probably."
No, it's
He literally
fine.
says, "It's probably nothing. It's fine." Like,
In my
okay,
expert opinion.
yes. So, go from there.
So yeah, and then Morbius is injected, of course, and he instead of mutates and runs off where he finds another doctor friend that tells him that lets him like kind of tells him that he is partially cured but needs more of the new serum. And Morbius then hits a goth shop and has like black leather bondage costume that he can use and like a torn cape in his size, and he just buys it like
It literally
for
says
several
several
hundred
hundred
dollars,
dollars.
right?
Yeah, it literally says, "Well, $700, several $100 later, I've got this cool digs." Or not digs, but like it's like, "Wait, what? How is that thing
Which
in your size?" You know?
yeah, and then back then that's a lot of money too. Like
Yeah.
several hundred is
Wha
pretty a lot.
And I also love that it's already ragged, like, it's already got the torn, like, cape and everything like that. I'm like, it's
Ahead of
like,
its time. Ahead of its
yeah,
time.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, and then Morbius's girl finds out that the doctor was trying to kill Morbius, and he confronts him, only for her to end up getting shot. Which again, we were talking about sort of the fridging of ladies, a la
Yeah.
Kyle Rayner. This is literally happens here. Like she gets caught, she gets shot, and what happens when Morbius stumbles upon her?
He of course drinks all her blood.
I'm
uh
sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Like,
This is all in one issue.
yeah, we're still not done. But I love that he's like, "My girlfriend is dying. Let me suck your blood." Like, "I'm
Yeah.
too hungry. I'm hungry." It's like,
And he's a good guy.
yeah, he's the good guy. He's the good guy. Um, yeah, he proceeds to confront the evil doctor and wreck everything, and he's like, "She bled to death, you know. There wasn't much by the time I found her, but I'm still thirsty."
Oh my
Like,
god. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I I genuinely love it. It's so silly.
Mhm. It's very crazy. Again,
Yeah.
this is all the same issue and we're not even done yet.
Yeah, I love
Uh
he even uses like, "Time to take out the garbage."
God. Here we
I'm
go
not making
again.
this up. This is what was said in the issue.
So with that, like our minds, the lab blows up and it almost destroys the serum, but Ghost Rider catches it and gives him the penance stare, which has no effect.
As we
And
mentioned earlier.
yeah, ultimately they all agree that he can't drink the blood of innocent people, and Morbius is like, "No problem, bro. Only the wicked." And it's kind of like the whole Venom lethal protector, where he's only going after bad guys. He becomes the proto Dexter Morgan.
Yeah. I love too, like, when the building blows up, this vial is in a thin, like, glass beaker, and Grocer is like, "Cool, I'm gonna catch it one-handed," like, and nothing spills, it just catches it as it flies out of a flaming building, just doop, right in my
Yeah,
hand.
yeah.
Like, um, what did you think of this issue, Josh?
This was crazy, and I couldn't understand. Like, I couldn't follow. Oh, and we don't even mention like the end where they Peter Parker is at the end
Oh,
where
yeah, and then, yeah,
he's like, "I
oh,
gotta
I
find
forgot,
him.
yeah, that's right. That's right,
Gotta
Peter
find him."
Parker shows up at the end, he's like, "I've gotta find him, he's back." I forgot about
Yeah,
that part. I was just kinda staying towards just on the whole, Rise of the Midnight Suns. Yeah, this issue is just insane, and like I said, it's almost to the level of Batman Year 2, but not quite there, and I think it's because Batman Year 2 had the benefit of having Alan Davis and Todd McFarlane doing the art, and this is no offense
yeah,
to Ron Wagner, but Ron Wagner ain't no Todd McFarlane or Alan Davis. He's fine, he
right.
did a good job, but, I mean, it's apples and oranges at that point. It's just like, this is it is just insane, and it's I don't wanna say it's the epitome of '90s comics, it's not, but it is '90s comic in a
Pretty darn
nutshell.
close.
Yeah, it's '90s comics in a nutshell. It's like, like, when you think of traditional '90s comics, this is it right here. When you think of, like, all the bad and the good. This is it. It's a polybagged issue. It's a number one. It's
Yeah.
dark. It's got leather. It's got people dying and all that. It's like all the insane stuff. It's like this is at least there's a lot of good 90s stuff out there from like Bone and Preacher and there's a lot of good in JLA, but there's a lot of not so good stuff. And I think that this issue for me is this is the good and the bad. And if you take it for like I'm going on a ride, it is absolutely fun. Is it good? That's
Mm.
questionable. Is it fun? Hell yes.
Yeah, it's just a few pouches short of a full 90s
That's true.
extreme.
That's true. They did not have any guns or pouches, so you're right. Well,
No,
it was
they
92.
held that for the next issue. Or no, not
That's r
next issue, for Night
that's right.
Stalkers.
Yeah, that's right. Night Stalkers, yeah,
Uh,
that's where that in droves.
yeah.
Um You know, one of the notes I wrote when I was writing all this stuff up is all of these crossovers really remind me of like 80s, 90s TV. Like when
Mm,
they're doing a spin-off of I can't think of like a show, but it's like, oh, we're gonna do a spin-off of like, you know, uh the Golden Girls or something like that. Like we're gonna have them show up for a minute so that way, look, it's a Golden Girls spinoff, and then they're gone, and then they kinda show up at the end again. Like, that's what this and all these
mhm.
crossovers felt like. It was like that 80s, 90s TV where it's like, "Oh, we gotta do a spinoff. Well, just so you remember, we're gonna get all the Golden Girl fans over here, and then we're out." And you know what I mean? Like, that's what it felt like.
Ye Yeah, and they even did that, like, semi recently with the in the CW with that's how they introduced The Flash.
Oh,
Before
okay.
Arrow into the air and Arrow, and,
Mhm,
I mean, it's the whole Mark and Mindy, you
mhm.
know,
Mork and Mindy, or even Star
yeah,
Trek Next Generation into, like into
yeah,
DS9, into Voyager, all that, Had to get a Star Trek
all those,
reference. I had to get a Star
of
Trek reference
course,
there.
and for
Well,
all
but
those, some people just yelled out "bingo." Um,
Well, I was gonna say, well, because to be fair, McCoy transitions into, Next Gen, Picard transitions into Deep Space Nine, and I believe Quark transitions into Voyager, if I recall.
well, you said Picard transitions into Deep Space Nine. Isn't,
Yeah, he's the
wasn't the
he's
engineer your favorite character or whatever?
oh,
Isn't
yeah,
he the
Cole
connection?
Meany, well, no, he is, but the whole issue or episode is about, like it starts with, the Battle of Wolf 359, which is the Borg invasion, which, of course,
Mhm.
Captain Picard is Locutus, and
Locutus.
so he shows up at Deep Space Nine, and that's where he's like basically telling Cisco, "Hey, you're taking over the station." Cisco's like, "Yo, you killed my wife at 359. I've got an issue with you." And then at the end, he's like, "Oh, I've learned to forgive."
Sorry.
But
Sorry about that.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, Picard was the transition in Deep Space Nine, and then yeah, Quark is the
Mm,
transition from Deep Space Nine to Voyager. Like, oh, they stop off at Quarks before they go into the
mm,
Delta Quadrant. But anyway.
gotcha.
Yes, yes. We got your there's your bingo for this episode.
Bingo.
Par-
Yeah. So,
Let's go to part four.
yeah, let's keep it moving with Darkhold, Pages from the Book of Sins, #1. This is written by Christian Cooper and art by Richard Case. And again, like the Morbius one, this one is pretty insane. But like, if you're really interested in those type of books, I mean, just you should check it out because like you said, this one also reads like an 80s 90s monster of the week TV. And like the Darkhold is like the Marvel's version of Necronomicon,
Mm.
and yeah, it's just like ancient book of evil and like spells and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
like it's really just like a creepy dwarf dude who
Yep.
shows up and gives out pages of the Darkhold to like random people, and turns them into like love crack Lovecraftian horrors, and it's like up to like the Redeemers led by Vicky Montesi to stop the abominations, because like it's her family's like
Yeah. History.
whole
Yeah.
legacy,
Yeah.
and stuff, and like they fight excuse me, like the dark holders or something, like there's a cult for the dark hold, and
Yeah.
they're kind of like the Hand almost, so like ninjas
Yeah.
that they fight, and then
Yeah.
she is being helped by a person that helps her, who's
Like a
been
detect. He's like an Interpol agent or whatever his name is.
yeah, like an Interpol agent who's supposed to be her protector, but then also another lady who's like her like an historian, like
Yeah. It was
who
like the college professor or whatever it was.
yeah, and like she had dealt with, I think either Johnny Blaze or the Ghost Rider before, like where
Yeah,
she, like there was that point where she called out like Therathos, and he's like, and Ghost Rider is like, who's that? Which I thought
yeah.
was a little weird, because you would think you would kind of know,
At this
but
point.
uh, yeah, but that was just like really just introducing that book.
Yeah, like I said, it really does read like 80s, 90s, like it almost in a weird way, like the X Files, in the sense that it's like here's like
Hmm.
this dwarf, he hands out the creepy page, the guy turns into a monster, they show up to stop the monster, and that's it. In this issue, the first issue is like it's a guy turns into a pile of worms, and they're like, oh, if even one worm lives, we have to destroy all the worms. Don't worry, the birds will eat him, and like literally
Right.
a bunch of crows eat all the worms. Like we
Yeah.
win because the birds ate the worms. It's like, "Oh, okay." And then, of course, we it ends on the creepy, dwarf guy giving a page to somebody else. Um, it is worth noting, though, that Vicky Montesi, like you said, her family bloodline goes back to, like, the 12th century in Marvel's
Uh-huh.
history, and, like, yeah, they're known, like, followers of, like, fighting the Darkhold and all that. She, though, it's worth noting, she's the first openly lesbian character to headline a Marvel book. So,
Which is
interesting.
pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. And
Yeah, it's the
what was
90s.
which I think, yeah, at the time was a big deal,
Yeah, it was. Well,
but then like me reading it now, I didn't even think anything of it,
yeah,
which is
you
fun.
have to put in the yeah, it's funny because at first they just allude to, like, it's like, "Oh, she's my roommate, and I care for her," and that's all they say, and then later
Right.
on, when, her roommate's in the her roommate, her lover, is in a coma, the father confronts, "How dare you let her down this wicked path?" It's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, clearly." It's like around issue 15 or something like that, they finally
Yeah.
reveal, but it's pretty it was the same with, like, North Star, like, everyone knew North Star was gay, but they couldn't come out until the 90s and actually say it because, like, there was a moratorium, not moratorium, but, like, Marvel's like, "We don't have gay characters." And it was like
Hmm.
even, like, I think John Byrne's run, he was like, "Yeah," like, I remember, like, North Star's like, "Yeah, I've got this secret that I can't tell anybody about." Like, "You're gay," and but they could not say it. Like, Marvel would not let them say it. It wasn't until I wanna say, like, Alpha Flight, so it was, like, 117 or something like that, maybe it was 115, I don't remember exactly. I have the
Uh-huh.
issue somewhere where he actually came out.
But with this one, like it was hard pressed to see how this was connected to anything of
Oh,
the crossover. Like
it
this was one of
literally
those came out of nowhere.
it's like he shows up and they're like, "Cool," and they're like, "Cool," but it's that '90s spin-off thing again, where it's like they show up like, "Hey guys, remember this is we're okay, bye," and that was it.
Yeah,
They're there for like 3 pages.
it's like they did it to get credit for the crossover. It's like
Yeah,
when people like or people that have like Disneyland uh season tickets, they or season pass holders, and then they like you have to, you have to kind of like sign up for the day, and
I did
then
not know that.
but yeah, well, like you have to now like pre sign up for the day, or like
I haven't
pre
been to
do that.
I haven't been to Disneyland since probably 2006.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, that's definitely
I can't
before.
I can't afford to go,
But
dude.
yeah, so like you'd have to like there's like certain days and before you go, you have to say like you have to check in basically, like say I'm going to
Wow.
register for these days. And
Oh,
if
wow.
you register and you don't go, you something happens, like you lose a day or something. So like people have
Oh
to
my god.
so
You have to
people
show
some
up.
people yeah, yeah, people will just show up at like the very end of the day and then leave or something so they don't
Oh,
get
wow.
dinged. So
I
that's
did not
what
know.
this one kind of reminded me of. Like, it's like you just have like, hi, bye. Okay, now it's part of the crossover.
Yeah, which again, as I talked about earlier, um, I'll say final thoughts. Let's get into the next issue.
So
Part 5.
part five is another number one, is Night Stalker's number one. It's written by DG Chichester.
Mhm.
Chichester. And art by Ron Garney. And this is a team of three vampire hunters whose origins kind of begin in the Tomb of Dracula comic from the 70s. And
Mhm.
it's these are the team is Hannibal King, Frank Drake, and Blade. And the three kind of reopen their supernatural private investigation office, and they're hired by disguised Lilith to kill Ghost Rider and Johnny Blaze. And after in this issue, kind of like after a pretty close fight between the groups, the Night Stalkers realize that they've been manipulated and are able to defeat Lilith's kid meat market,
Yes.
and because it's like the penultimate of the crossover, Doctor Strange kind of shows up and he says like they're prepared now to fight Lilith after they fight Lilith.
Yeah.
So this one
Yeah.
was also kind of like it was weird that it was kind of in the crossover, but also weird that it was a number one
Mhm.
because it seemed like it was in the middle of another story. Um,
You know, you are absolutely right. You know, like, and it's funny, like, because obviously these characters have history that goes back to the Tomb of Dracula comic from the 70s,
yeah,
but it picks up so in medias res that I'm like, "Wait a minute, what the hell?" Like, Blade's, like, in an insane asylum, Frank Drake is just hanging out with a lady at the aquarium, and Hannibal King is I don't know what he's doing. But then it's like, turns out they had an investigation office, like a supernatural
yeah,
borderline investigations, I think is what it was called. And I had to go back. I'm like, wait, was this a thing that in previous comics? Like, did this? I'm like, and I couldn't find any reference to the borderline investigation. It's like, oh, it was like, oh, we had to close up our thing because Blade got himself committed. It was so like, wait,
yeah.
what's going on? Like, it tripped me up a little bit. I actually had to kind of go back and reread it. And it's worth noting, let's talk about the character real quick, but it's worth noting that this is pre-Blade the movie. This is pre-Wesley Snipes Blade, you know what I mean? This is, like, by a good, like, 5 or 6 years, you know?
Yeah, even though they didn't have his costume, they did mention like they took my goggles or like he like so when I saw that I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is kind of yeah, this is before the black leather and the blade look that we know now.
Yeah, no, now, yeah, he used to wear, like, green and orange and have an afro
Yeah.
and, like, big
Yellow.
old
Yeah.
goggles, and yeah, and he used to run around with, like, a stake, like a wooden stake all the time. And he's also technically British, he's from, like, Southampton or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, he's
Hmm.
technically supposed to have, like, a Cockney accent, I think, you know, and that's the other thing.
Yeah.
He's from London, I know that for a fact, it's interesting. But that said, I had to do some research on, like, 'cause, like, I know he's from London, but, like, there's some debate because 'cause they've never written him with, like, a Cockney accent, so it's, like, it's debatable whether he actually has a British accent, so who knows,
Hmm.
but that's a whole other discussion for another time. As we mentioned, Ryan Reynolds played Hannibal King, but just so you know, in the Blade 3 movie, he is also a vampire, but he is a vampire who has never once drank human blood, and that's, like, that's his caveat.
Right. So what did he drink?
He
Like
drank animal blood, or he would
that's right.
steal, like,
Okay.
plasma, or he'd steal, like, plasma from, like, hospitals or something like
Mm.
that. And then finally rounding out the team is Frank Drake, who is an ancestor of Dracula, and correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but he is dressed like a pirate kind of, right? Like, he's got that
Oh,
big
for sure.
ruffled. Okay, cool, like, I'm like, he's wearing the
I'm a
puffy shirt
vampire
from.
hunting pirate.
Yeah, he looks like Seinfeld with the puffy shirt.
Yeah, the puppy shirt.
The puffy shirt, but he carries, like, a giant, like, highly technological gun called Linda, named after Linda Blair from The Exorcist, but he's, like, literally he's got a puffy shirt on as if he's, like, a pirate, like, he's gonna go swashbuckling,
Yeah,
but he's carrying,
and
like,
it
high.
and
Go
and
ahead.
his name sounds, like Francis Drake, the pirate.
Yeah. Yes, I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of that. The Drake I thought was, like, a
Yeah,
take on Dracula, but, like, in Frankenstein or something like that, but you're right,
yeah.
I didn't even think of Francis Drake. Anyway, um yeah, you're right, though. The book just kinda starts, and you're just like, I will say, though, that said, it felt a little more appropriate for a crossover just because at least they had a mission
Yeah,
that tied them into, like, going to find Blaze and Johnny and Ghost Rider.
yeah.
Because like, the other one's like, "Hey, we showed up and we're out." Like, this one's like, "Oh, no, they're directly looking for them and trying to fight them." You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. This out of the other number ones, other than, of course, the Blaze and, the Spirit of Vengeance one, like,
Yeah.
this one is at least the most, like, actual connected,
Yeah.
um, to it, and, um, now Night Stalkers, though, they're kinda hypocrites, right?
I mean, so at the end of the issue, they're like, "Okay, we're gonna have to team up with you, demonic ghostwriting guys, because we have to defeat Lilith. But when we're done with that, we're coming after you because you guys are sourced by demons." And it's like, cool. You realize 2/3 of your squad are vampires, right? Like,
Right, yeah.
I is it just me or is that it seems kinda hypocritical? I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't
but
know.
but, but they're different because
Well, one doesn't
they
drink blood and the other
are
one is half vampire. I don't know, whatever.
yeah. So, I
Anyway,
mean so again, like, it's like, at the end, though, Doctor Strange is like, "Alright, now you're ready to
yeah.
face Lilith," and then moving on to the last issue, which is part 6, and it's Ghost Rider number 31. Now, just a reminder, we started off with part 1 at Ghost Rider number 28. What
Mhm.
happened in 29 and 30? Not not any consequential to this storyline, so
It's funny in the collect I think they do tie in tangentially to all of it, but they didn't bother to collect it in the trade. I don't know,
mhm.
I actually didn't get a
Well,
chance
it's
to read
not
those
even in the
issues.
Marvel one too.
I
It's
was gonna
like,
say,
or
well,
the Marvel app
yeah.
either.
Well, it's funny
It's
because
not officially part of it.
Spirits of Vengeance, though, 2 and 3 are in there, though, because they do tie those
Mhm.
2 the Spirits of Vengeance 2 and 3 do tie into the arc, but they didn't tie it officially in. Yeah, I don't know why, but whatever, yeah. Yeah, but you're right. 2 issues, just jump ahead. Okay, cool, let's get into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that also means, like, this happened 2 at least 2 months later, or, like, 3 months later,
Yeah,
which is yeah, 6 issues? Like, okay. So that one's so they at least had, like, I guess, 2 months in between, which is 2 the 2 number 1 all the number 1s were, like, in
yeah, yeah.
between.
Well, yeah, like,
And
I think you said it took place between June and September. They got it all
yeah.
they knocked these things out. Go, go,
Yeah, that's
go.
true, yeah. And this one was also written by Howard Mackie, and the art was from Andy Kubert, and basically all 9 characters from the crossover, along with Doctor Strange, arrive to fight Lilith, and, really, like any other Marvel, thing, they just spend
Team
more
up.
time, like, and, like, yeah, team up or anything like crossover. They spend as much time bickering with themselves than, actual fighting Lilith, but, like, eventually they defeat her, and by having her get sucked into her own chest portal, as
Yeah,
one does.
sure, sure. You know, that
Yeah.
seems logical to me.
And, of course, she's not dead, but
Yeah.
that's for another time.
Well, that
Um,
will literally come up later on, but, yeah.
yeah.
But that's it. That's it's all these teams which to be fair, the Darkhold people, like, I'm like, "I've got a gun, like a pistol." It's like they were like, "What
Right.
was the point of you being there?" Like, "Okay, I guess." Like, you didn't use, like, the Darkhold to do so. It was like, "No, you're just there," and I mean, Blade makes sense,
Yeah.
Cannibal King makes sense, Morbius makes sense, but the Darkhold Redeemers, I'm like, "I wish I'd been a little bit time." Whatever. What did you think? Okay, so first off, what did you think of the issue? And then what did you think of the entire crossover? Like, what was your thoughts on this, dude?
I mean, I thought the issue was fine because it was, like,
Mm.
the end, and it was,
Yeah.
like, the big fight and stuff,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
got to see them finally all together.
Yeah.
Crossover-wise, I mean, the highlights were Ghost Rider and, the both Ghost Riders, I think. I
Mhm.
think I
Mhm.
liked them the most and their
Yeah.
dynamic the most, and with the other characters.
Yeah.
I just was not a big fan of this crossover. I think what would have helped is them not doing the number ones in it. Like, if you did this crossover later
Mhm.
in the runs of the different books, so you get to kind of
Yeah.
know the characters a little bit better, and they don't come out of nowhere, because
Uh-huh.
it's hard enough to introduce new characters in first of all. It's really hard to do with a crossover. It's also hard to do, like, supernatural stuff. I think even at that time too, like, supernatural characters are hard to, like, new ones are
Mhm.
hard to establish, and you put a lot of pressure on them in a crossover like that. And that's why I think if you let's just say, like, Darkhold, like, for example, if if they were getting into this, like, this crossover, like Darkhold number maybe 25, where they've had
Mhm.
some time under the belt,
Mm.
we've known the characters a little bit more.
Mhm.
um, I think it would have been way more beneficial, so you don't have to you could spend more time on the crossover than
Mhm.
actually setting up the book. Same thing with
Yeah.
Morbius. Even
Mhm.
though he's been established and everything, if you spent more time with whatever cast of characters in the book,
Mhm.
um, and then use that in the crossover rather than introducing everything.
Mhm.
You don't need to waste time with that, and you can actually have the crossover. Like, it can be
Yeah,
cohesive.
yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, dude. I mean, the crossover seems like an afterthought to this whole thing, with the exception of,
Yeah.
like you said, the Ghost Rider issues. I think, like I said, as individual issues, they're all fine. They get across what they need to get done. Like I said, the Darkhold book is like, okay, it's a Monster of the Week book with this demon dwarf who's handing out pages. Cool. All right. And then this team's got to investigate. Premise is simple, makes sense. Ghost Rider and Blaze are superfluous to it all. The Morbius one, the Ghost Rider part and the Morbius part, or the Ghost Rider and Blaze part, didn't need it, but it definitely added to the fun of the insanity of that book.
Mm.
Um, the Night Stalkers, at least they tied them in a little bit better. But yeah, overall, it was just like as a crossover event, it was. I hate to say it was garbage. It's not good. It's not a good event. As individual issues, they're fun. Your mileage will definitely vary. You're gonna be like, "Why did you like this issue?" Because, like, sometimes the art is great, sometimes the art is not, sometimes the storytelling is good, sometimes it is not. But at least they all had their own voice. I will give them that. But I think as an event, not good. I do know, kind of to your point, like, when they eventually kind of end it all, I think it's like Siege of Darkness. That's when they, like, kind of wrap everything up. It's probably a little more cohesive on that. I have that trade. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. I think, like you said, as an event, falls flat on its face. As individual issues, I was fine with it.
Yeah, I think so. I think overall, though, too, I think this Ghost Rider is somebody we need to like not redo, but just do another issue where we find a better storyline. I think that's on me. I think we're just trying to do a better kickoff
Well, I think
with these.
the thing I think the reason was, though, and, to, give you a little behind the scenes, is I know you wanted to hit Johnny Blaze, and this was the best way to hit both
Yeah.
Johnny Blaze and Danny Ketch, because, like I said, I did read the first 12 issues of Ghost Rider Danny Ketch's run, and they're fun. It's, like,
Mhm.
legitimately fun. Like, I'm like, "Oh, this is cool." Like, it's basic '90s comics, but it's really good. The art is really good. The story's really clean. It's like each time it's like, "Oh, he's gonna fight Scarecrow in this issue," and then he's gonna fight, he's gonna team up with the Punisher for a couple issues. Oh, there's Moon Knight showing up now. So, like, each issue is like it's kind of its own thing. It's a lot of fun. I mean, if we ever come back to Ghost Rider, I won't say I'm gonna insist upon doing that arc, but
Mhm.
I will say, and I guess this kind of leads into we can just try to get into similar reading, but I would say if you're interested in Ghost Rider, go and read those first, like, 12 issues of Danny Ketch's run. It is really enjoyable. That's how, and it's funny because I had texted you. I was like, "Dude, I don't know if we should do this book." "No,
Mhm.
let's go for it." And I was just like, "Well, it'll be a fun discussion no matter what." Because I had read those Ghost Rider issues, like, "This is so good." I'm like, "I can't wait to get to the actual event." And then I get into the event, I'm like, "What is going on here? This is insane. This is
Mhm.
insane."
Hmm. I feel like I'm
I don't
taking
know.
crazy pills.
I literally did. I was like, "Dude, should we change gears?" Or, "No, let's go for it." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Alright." And I was like, at the very least, it will be a fun discussion about this book, and it was. I mean, like, at
Yeah.
least, for me, it's like, yeah, this is it's weird,
I just
you
think
know?
I think we just need to relook at another Johnny Blaze one or something. Something that we can do
Well,
as
I
well.
said the Jason I wanna say it's the Jason Aaron run. It went, like, 25 issues, and it's, like, him hunting down souls that escape from hell, and that's a
Mhm.
decent one. Garth Ennis did one with, like, Clayton Crane's, like, a 6-issue mini. That's a lot of fun. There's a couple of, like, those books. They recently did, like, a 5-issue mini called Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider, they did. I think they did another one, like,
Mhm.
because 'cause they've been doing a lot of these, like, kinda like revivals where it's like, "Oh, let's go back and, like, explore Gambit and Storm's history," or, "Let's go back and, do a story about, Rogue and Magneto and the Savage." So they've been doing, like, these, like, comic callback, miniseries, so that you could do some of that kinda Ghost Rider stuff with that,
Yeah.
because the thing is, I did go and read some of the Johnny Blaze stuff from the '70s. It's fine. It's very '70s, and if you
Mhm.
I'm not a huge fan of that era. Like, I like some of the stuff in the '70s, but as a general rule, it's not my era.
Mhm.
So it's that's just me, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
I
No, I
I
understand.
yeah. But, again, Ghost Rider's a fun character, and like I said,
That's very fun. Yeah.
yeah, it's just,
I just think we next time we'll cover something that just can celebrate him a little bit more. I think I think
yeah.
this is like good learning for me. Like, all right, so yeah, not everything is great. Um, And
Uh,
but also, last, like, similar reading, you mentioned it before, but Siege of Darkness, it's,
mhm,
like the pseudo sequel, like, finale to the Midnight Suns,
mhm,
and, it's collected in an Epic collection now,
yeah.
so,
And then there's the Danny Ketch epic collections as well, which
yeah.
those I do really legitimately believe like they're worth checking out. I think the volume 2 of the Danny Ketch epic collection, which is issues like 13 through 25 or whatever is going to be coming out soon. So keep an eye out
Mhm.
for that. Um,
Awesome. So
yeah,
that's all the Ghost Rider stuff. So again, like, we liked, like, the Ghost Rider parts, it just has a crossover, it was just a little bit too crazy.
yeah,
And, too
not
many number
cohesive
ones for
enough.
me. Yeah, too
Yeah,
many number
I
ones
mean,
for me.
well, and it's exactly what I said. Is like the context is Ghost Rider's hot. We need more of this. Hey, let's launch 4 new number 1 books,
Yeah,
and use Ghost Rider to sort of like bookend it. And, again, your mileage is going to vary with all of that, as I've said
yeah.
several times in this episode. Whatever though.
Let's
So it
move
does not.
into weekly recommend.
I was gonna say, it does not sound like this is a resounding like endorsement.
Yeah,
Read the other
but,
stuff. Uh, what,
but thank you
what,
for the suggestion, first of all, from my dad.
oh
I
yes,
mean, thank you for the
we'll,
suggestion, and we'll keep doing, I mean, again,
we'll find a better Ghost Rider. We'll find a better
find a
Ghost
better
Rider
one to
book.
do it justice, yeah.
There you go. What are you reading this week, dude, or watching, or what is
Well,
your
I think
viewing?
my recommendation this week, like, it's comic book, uh adjacent? No,
Mm,
just
I'll
comic
take it.
booky. It's like, I've been, Invincible season 4 just, was starting up again, on Amazon, and, it's been fun, to watch. So,
Are are they adapting the books for that, or is it in a whole new story? 'Cause I'd read somewhere that they were going to do whole new stories for that.
I think at some point they are, but right now, they're still within the comic books. This is, like, right after Conquest,
Okay,
the first Conquest,
so around
uh
like issue 70 or so.
yeah, yeah, so it's like Dinosaurus just popped up,
Okay,
things like that, so,
okay,
um,
60s then. Okay,
more of the aftermath of the Invincible War, and all the, just the consequences from that, and,
okay,
they just, introduced more of the Scourge virus, Thrag, and more of the, Viltrumite, history.
okay.
Yeah, they got, like, for Thrag, they got the voice from, the guy from, Pushing Daisies, and he was Ronan in
Oh, Lee Pace.
Lee Pace, which is a great voice for it, so.
Did you ever watch *Halt and Catch Fire*?
Oh, yeah, 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 no, he's great in *Halt and Catch Fire*.
Oh man, that show is phenomenal.
It was very underrated, that one.
Yeah,
Um,
if you and this is just as a general, like, watch it if you have time. It's a slow show, but it is 4 seasons of almost damn near
yeah,
perfection. Each season gets like a soft reboot, and it's really great. I love that. I legitimately love that show.
yeah,
Uh, cool. Yeah, I like Lee Pace. He's a good dude, or at least he seems like a good dude.
yeah, and so what about you? What are you reading slash watching slash, um,
Yeah, I mean,
looking at?
traditional stuff. Yeah, I'm not watching as much TV as I should. I've been kind of diving into novels lately. I definitely recommend the Superman Spider-Man crossover because my boy Mark Wade, he writes it.
Marky Mark.
Marky Mark and the funky boy. But the other thing I've actually been reading is the Expanse novels, which I did
Hmm.
not know, but I guess apparently they're a little different from the TV show.
Oh, yeah?
Um,
Which,
yeah, there's
I heard The Expanse is really good, so,
I
the
watched the
show.
first season. Yeah, well, I was gonna say
Mhm.
I watched the first season and I don't remember anything from it. It's like the hell with it. I'll just start reading the books. And I was telling them like, yeah, man, there's like vomit zombies. And they're like, yeah, that's different from the TV show. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, there's vomit zombies in the book. So I'm at the end of book 2 right now, and depending on what my library, if it gets the next Dungeon Crawler Carl book, I'll either read that or I'll read Expanse number 3.
Yeah, and if you're done with the Expanse books, start the Red Rising series. That
Yeah,
one's
I have it on my Kindle, so I might jump
uh,
on that if
that
I don't.
one's like Hunger Games, Dune slash Donnie Brasco.
All
That's all
right.
I can say.
All right.
Um,
That's a hell of an
I know it's,
endorsement.
it's three thing, yeah. But
Yeah.
I also started reading The Legend of It's like a fun fantasy book.
Mhm. Okay.
That's fun to read.
Okay.
Um,
I have to check that out.
yeah, so that is really it. Thank you for listening.
Mhm.
We actually got one under 2 hours finally.
What?
Excuse me.
Should do
Um,
more books we don't like.
oh gosh, no, no. That'd be just, we got issues, the negative collection.
There we go. Negative zone.
So make sure, please, to just if you haven't yet, please subscribe, and hit us up on Instagram and Blue Sky. Again, on Instagram we got issues cast, and then on Blue Skies we got issues, and I'm it's your favorite Josh on Instagram, and Brian is Speedo Jedi on Instagram, and then the BComp on Blue Sky, and
That's right.
that's where we will take any suggestion and see if we can make a good discussion out of it. And if you like this episode, I mean, please rate us 5 stars and recommend it to your friends. If you didn't like it, please give us 5 stars. And
Anyway, please.
who the hell do you think you are? Yeah, Brian, what is going on in our next episode?
Our next episode, a friend of the show and a former producer for both Attack of the Show and Nerdist is dropping by, and it's a good friend of mine, Derek Johnson, who I believe, if I'm correct, I believe he was your producer when you were an intern over on Attack.
This is one of those rare moments where I actually knew this person before you did, and a part of the Attack of the Show where, yeah, Derek was the PA in charge of the interns at the Attack of the Show when I was the one of the interns. So he was the one that gave us our assignments. We always started at his desk, and again, we'll get more into his Attack of the Show history. But
Yeah,
for also
yeah.
people who don't know, he was Cobra Commander.
Oh, that's cool. That's funny.
When
I did
Mike
not
Shaw
know
did
that.
the voice, he did the motion work.
Hey, I did Bane, and I think Mike Shaw did the voice for me, so
Oh,
whenever
nice.
I was
Yeah.
Bane. Yeah, so he'll be coming by, and we're gonna talk about one of his favorite books, Batman Hush,
The
which is
first one.
ironic. The first one, well, which is funny because Hush 2 is not finished yet, and it's funny because Derek and I were on a show last year at an IGN show, and he was like, we were talking about Hush 2. You and I were talking about Hush 2 in that show. He's like,
Mhm.
I had to stop listening to the episode because, like, you guys started talking about Hush 2. I didn't want it spoiled. The book still has not finished. It's only 6 issues for the entire thing, and Hush 2 has not finished. It's almost been a
Right.
year since.
But
Okay.
that's abnormal for Jim Lee, right? He said
Jim Lee or
sarcastically.
yeah, yes, yeah, exactly. Anyway, that will be a whole other discussion. We'll save that for the next episode. But anyway, yeah, stick around,
Yeah.
or be sure to check it out when we hit it. Yeah, Derek will come by and talk about Hush, and yeah, it'll be a good show.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.
Peace.